part in both whether you're going to college or not, or and life, because whatever your child does in the future, whether it includes college or not, Shellee Howard is going to explain to you how intellectual curiosity helps your child really stand out and really be something that is what everybody is looking for. So, and she specifically talks about several different aspects of this and how it has to do with both your child's purpose and intention and passions, and then also just what do they have an idea of, like what they're even interested in. That's something I think is really important that we don't think about. It's definitely changed. It's changed. The landscape has changed. It used to be colleges and employers, they wanted certifications, they wanted good grades, they wanted, they wanted transcripts that look amazing, awards and all these things. But that's not what they're looking for now, according to Shellee. And I am very excited to hear about this because this is new territory for some of us. And as we're preparing for college readiness, which is something that most parents I talk to want, that if our kids are going to choose to go to college or not, we at least want them to be ready. And ironically enough, I love that we're at the place in the world where those things that the colleges are looking for are actually what the world is looking for from your student. So this is super great. Shellee's amazing. She is the founder of College Ready, and she is not only amazing at coaching hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of families, but she also has written books. She talks about being debt free in college. She really talks you through and teaches you how to not lose your mind. And she has a whole book about that. We'll talk about that later. But Shellee, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited that we connected and that we are talking about this shift in the entire marketplace of what our kids and how our kids can be successful in the future. So I am excited to share about this today. Can you just give us a brief, just background of like why you're so interested in this topic in the first place? Why you like your kids and teaching all of our kids to be college ready or life ready, really?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Cami, for having me. I will say first, it is an honor to be here. And I know that your listeners are going to get massive value. So hold tight, parents, because I love to give. So here we go. A little bit about me. I am a mother of four. I have two boys and two girls, two biological and two stepkids, and love them all a ton. Why I am so passionate about this is because I believe that this generation has more opportunity than any generation ahead of them or behind them, as well as many challenges that we've never faced before. And so, my desire is for your listeners to really not just think about college. I want them to think about future. They're future ready. Because think about this for a moment, parents. College is not the end game. College is a stepping stone for many professions. Some professions you have to have a degree, some you don't. And so I love families to understand that it's really more than college, it's launching them into their future. And just like an airplane on a runway, if you have a short runway, your heart is going to beat really fast, which is if you have a junior or senior right now. If you have a long runway, you have all this time and all this confidence, my plane's going to take off just fine. The bottom line is they're both going to take off. And how are they going to do that? With a little bit of stress or no stress at all? It is completely up to your family. So now I'll get back to how this got started is my firstborn came home from middle school and he was on fire. He was so excited. I'm like, "What happened at school today?" And he goes, "Oh my gosh, mom, the high school counselor came to our class today and said, we need to pick classes." I'm like, "But it's only spring of your 8th grade year. What in the world?" I said, "I didn't even talk to anybody until I was a junior in high school." He goes, "Mom, we're not in the cave women days anymore." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, With all due respect, mom, it's been a bit since you went to college. And I'm like, okay, well, well said. I didn't do it right or well because I had no guidance. I was the first to go to college on both sides of my family. So he goes on to say, will you help me? And I said, of course I'll help you. I'm your mom. He goes, no, I know exactly what I want to do and exactly where I want to go to college. And like you might be a little shocked, parents, because my other three had no idea. So here's this young man who has big hopes and dreams. I said, what do you want to do? And he says, I want to be a brain surgeon. I want to go to one of those Ivy things. Just like that. And I am like, okay, way to set your goals. I will support you. What I didn't know is I would be on my own because his high school counselor, when we met with her, and this is not a bash on high school counselors, this is one individual. I think high school counselors are amazing, by the way. But this one individual said, why do you want to be a doctor? They don't make money anymore. And he was so squished. He was so frustrated. And I just saw like the balloon went out completely, the wind's gone. And I said, don't worry about that. You're not doing it for the money. You're doing it because you want to serve your community and you have the gift of knowledge to do so. So off we went. And what I didn't realize is now it was going to fall on my plate. So I went back to school, became an independent certified college consultant. I started touring 25 colleges a semester because I wasn't sure if he was going to go Ivy or not. He didn't have a perfect GPA, he didn't have a perfect test score. But what he did have is I built him a strategy to help him understand what he wanted, what his core values were, what his gifts and talents were, and how he was going to use that to prove that he was ready to make this big decision. So, all of that being said, every student in our program goes through the same process. We are not here just to pick out names of schools. We're here to help your child become the best version of them. And then, if college is part of that path, outstanding. We can match them with the perfect academic, social, and financial fit college. If it's not, we talk about entrepreneurship. We talk about trade schools. We talk about influencers. I know, parents, if that makes your hair stand up, it did mine at first too. But here's the thing, I even help students go to university in another country. So, understanding that this is not just one size fits all, and that is what this generation gets to encounter after high school. So, Cami, it's all yours.
That is amazing. What a beautiful story. I love that you just took the initiative, right? You're like, I know that this is going to be on me. So I'm going to do it. And I don't know anything about it. That is something I feel like is just inherent in a homeschool mama. That is what we do. That's just like, hey, I don't know about all the rest of this, but I got to learn some things. So I love that. And then also knowing that they're just because they say something at eighth grade might not be where they end up being. And I know that your son did actually go to medical school and all that. So I'm super excited about that. And so when we're talking about, and this is something I think all of us as parents, we want to have the options for our kids. We want them to be prepared for the exact words I hear, prepared for whatever they want to do in life. So what that means, and a lot of them do say college ready. I want them to be ready if they want to go to college or not. I don't really care if they go, but if they need to, then I want them ready. So, what does that mean to be college ready? Because, like I said, and like you said, this is, I love the way your son said it. That was the cutest thing. It's been a minute since you've been to college, mom. Like,
Yeah.
that's the best. I love it. So, it's been a minute since some of us have been to college. And things are different now. So, what does it mean today to be college ready today?
So, after your child has figured out a little bit about themselves, now we start working with students as young as middle school. So, for all of you thinking, oh, how are we going to have time for this? When they're in middle school, they have a lot more time than they will in high school. And this is a great time to help them explore leadership. I also tell parents, in order to prepare your child for to be ready for their future or college ready, the family needs to be ready. That means academically, have you gone on a college campus? Have they seen what you're recommending, right? We take our kids to all kinds of art museums, science museums, but yet we often miss the college tour as an opportunity to say, hey, this is not more middle school or high school. You get to pick your major, pick your career. Like, this is really amazing. So, that would be number one to be college ready is family awareness and then financial awareness. I like families to know that college can be very expensive. Now, all four of mine did graduate debt free without me paying. So I can say honestly that it wasn't expensive for my family, but I know it can be expensive. Now, the important thing to talk about is the return on investment. If a student gets a partial, right, financial offer, a full financial offer, there are 10 colleges that are tuition free. That's a great return on investment of an education. But if your child wants to be a botanist and they want to go to NYU and spend 100,000 a year, it's up to the family to help them to see that does not make a good return on investment. And for many students, they have no financial literacy as it comes to life. So, college ready is more than just picking a name of a school. It's helping your child be socially ready. Are they ready to leave home? I didn't say parents, are you ready for them to leave home? Because that's a
Right?
whole other story, right? But are they ready? Some students are so ready, they can't stand it. Other students, they need a little bit more time. Having four of my own, my first embraced Harvard. He was going across the US and he never looked back, never shed a tear because he was a leader and he knew what he wanted. Child number two, her dream school was University of Alabama, and I was not ready for her to go, but she was definitely ready to go. And so when I dropped both of them off at school, I had no tears. I had really a lot of gratitude and pride that they had chosen and they had prepared properly. Child number two and three, they were just unique. They were not as ready to leave home. So, child number three, he wanted to stay at a state school, which was totally fine. It was a great fit for him. He still lived on campus, and it was during COVID. So, there was some challenges in that for sure. Now, child number four, the baby of the family, and I'm sure you're all putting your own kids in this place, is we were a little concerned. Husband and I, we were a little concerned. We're like, I just don't know if she's ready. And she chose to go to an international university.
Wow.
So here we're thinking, we're not even sure if she's ready to leave home. And she's like, but I want to go to an international school. So my husband and I strategically put together 20 things she had to accomplish to prove that she was ready to go to an international school. We thought, there's no way she's going to do this, right? We were so confident in ourselves. And that list is something I would love to share with your listeners because
Absolutely.
it gave her confidence and us confidence that she was ready. And not only that, she got in and out of a European school in the Czech Republic of Prague in 3 years for $27,000 in total. And she got to tour Europe on the weekends. And this young lady probably launched faster than any of my other kids. So don't ever underestimate what these young people can do because she impresses me every day with what she was able to accomplish.
That's an incredible story. Wow. I love how she was just committed to that. She was like, "Okay, I'll jump through your hoops. Let's just go and get her ready." And I love your intention around like, "Okay, let's just make sure that she's ready because that is important for our sense of well-being and their success when they are doing whatever it is that they're doing." So I really appreciate that. Now, one thing that when we talked initially, we talked a lot about, well, a lot of things, but one thing that stood out for me was your idea of intellectual curiosity starting and that the college readiness starts with intellectual curiosity. Now, if you've been listening to me a lot, you know that that is something with a different name that I talk about all the time. And something that I teach is how to develop lifelong learners. So that's how I phrase it. But I love the words intellectual curiosity. I think it's fantastic. So, what do you think intellectual curiosity is, and how is it the starting point for
Right.
being college and future ready?
So it's such a critical piece. If you miss intellectual curiosity and you allow your child to jump right into AI, they will never be able to think for themselves. And so intellectual curiosity is when you're reading your child a book. Remember when they're toddlers and they think they probably memorize the story. You've read it so many times, but they're following along and they're getting very involved in the story and they're asking questions. I remember my firstborn would make me crazy with questions. But why? But why? That is intellectual curiosity.
Right.
Back then, I mean, there was a point where I'm like, "Please don't ask me why." And now I understand. He wanted to not just hear words, he wanted to understand how did that relate to his world. And so I would recommend for families who have little ones that you're still bathing, instead of being on your phone at bath time sitting next to the tub, put your phone in a book. Have them see you flipping and, even better, like read the book, but no judgment. Put the phone in the book, flip the pages so they see you really leaning into words. Now, if they're in elementary, have them talk about what does that mean? Instead of just going through the motions of doing grammar, why do we need grammar? Why is that important to us? Why must I learn geometry? It makes no sense until you ask the why. Then you get into middle school. Why must I take hard classes when I can just as easy take an easy class and get an A? That's the intellectual curiosity we need them to come with. Why must I go to college? Well, do you want to be an influencer? Where's your business plan? I don't know how to do a business plan. Maybe intellectual curiosity in college can get you to that place. I want to be a doctor. Great. What kind of doctor? Why a doctor? How can I support you in serving your community so you know if that's a good fit? So instead of just allowing them to say yes or no, I love to I call it leaning in without judgment. And that's basically help me understand that is so fascinating. Why do you enjoy that? Not with judgment, not with condemnation, but a true curious why. And allow them to explain from deep inside their soul why that's important to them. And that is intellectual curiosity from a very early age. And I'll leave you with this thought, Cami. Yesterday, I was talking to a young man, and he told me he wanted to go to college to go into business because he liked money. And I thought, oh, that's fascinating. Okay, I can go with that. And I said, well, what math are you in? And he says, oh, I'm not good at math. And I said, well, what are you doing about it? He goes, I don't need to do anything about it. And he holds up his phone and he points and he goes, my phone does it all for me. Mm, be very careful not to have intellectual curiosity.
100%. I love this so much. And it is something we are exactly on the same page about this for sure. Digging in deep, showing and asking questions and thinking, having them think about that because a lot of times people don't ask them those things. They don't ask, well, why do you love that? Well, I don't know. I just do. Well, even if they don't know the answer right now, they're thinking about why. So, and
Mhm,
then maybe they'll come up with that later. I absolutely love that. And so, when we're thinking about being college and future ready, having that intellectual curiosity is definitely the starting ground for making sure that they're on a path they want to be on, right? So if
mhm,
and that's what you said exactly with asking them those why questions. And so that young man, right, he didn't understand that mathematical thinking is important for him to be
mhm.
in a place where he's interested in money, right? So that's very, very important. So when colleges, let's think about colleges for a second, because what does you made a statement, and I put this in the email before that colleges want students who are passionate, who are curious, and who know where they're going. And I absolutely love that statement. So, and I feel like the statement is 100% what banks are looking for, what employers are looking for, what business investors are looking for. So, whatever industry you're going into, that's what they're looking for. Can you explain that a little bit and how is specifically in colleges, but also we know that this applies to everything. How do they look at it that way and why are they looking at that versus test scores and grades and all these things?
So, it wasn't but 4 years ago that colleges looked at candidates differently. And in the US and in Europe, they look at candidates differently. So I do have to preface that. It's not the same in Europe as it is in the US. So in the US, that's what I'm going to speak about since we're in the US right now. Um, Colleges are looking for thought leadership. What does that mean? That means they're looking for people who can collaborate. They're looking for leadership. They're looking for intellectual curiosity with drive and determination. Gone are the days that you just have to put a GPA and a test score in a box and you get in. They want to know, who are you? What is important to you and what have you done about it? Guess what employers are looking for? Who are you? What matters to you and what have you done about it? Because you can talk about an idea all day long, but it's just an idea until you put it into action. Colleges are not looking for students to come and get accepted and sit and listen, take an education and leave. That is wrong, wrong, wrong. They're looking for students to get accepted and make their school amazing, then put the diploma on the wall and start selling it to the next generation. College is a business, right? Think about you, parents. If you own a business or you work for someone, if I came to you, Cami, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I've heard so many wonderful things about you. I really want to work for you." And you say, "Where is your resume, your CV?" And I say, "Oh, I don't have one of those. I really spend my time at the beach or gaming or hanging out with my friends." And you're like, "Well, that's really nice, but I can't hire you without any experience. But please give me a chance, Kimmy. I really want to go." And you say out of the kindness of your heart, "I will give you 30 days to prove that you can do this, but I'm going to give you minimum wage." Right? Candidate number 2 comes to you and they say, "Cami, really want to work for you. I can do your job and make your life easier." And you're like, "Wow, let me see your resume." 4 pages? Are you kidding me right now? You could do my job. I'm going on vacation. You're hired and I'm going to pay you as much as I can. Do you see the difference of the candidate at both college and for a job? They want to know who you are. That is what this generation is being asked to do.
I love these questions of who you are and what you've done about it because I feel like that is something that we've had a whole generation and multiple generations of students that just went to college to go to college And just to get a piece of paper, I was told that by my parents. You just need the piece of paper. Just get a piece of paper. It doesn't even matter what it's in. Just get the piece of paper, and it doesn't matter where it's from, unless you're going to be like a doctor or something like that. And nobody cares. And so that's the mentality that we've had of like just going to college to go to college, and because it's supposed to result in something miraculous afterwards apparently. And that we're in this phase now, which I actually prefer, which seems more realistic, which is why, and what does it have to do with you? So, and it really fits, I think, as well, especially with college enrollment being down all over the place, that they want people who are going to be contributors and not just taking up space.
Yes.
And so that makes perfect sense. I think that that's actually a better scenario, because it's actually a life skill. It's forcing our students to think about, well, wait, what do I want? Wait, I don't get 4 more years to just mess around and figure and then come out, with some piece of paper that has nothing to do with what I'm ever going to do in the world. So I love that. That's absolutely fantastic. So I and the idea of thought leadership is very, very important, that we are leading ourselves in our thinking, and that we are creating a a whole person, through who we're intentionally being. And that is something I talk about a lot. So I love this. This is so amazing. I don't want to end this. I want to keep going. But how can we get in touch with you, Shellee? I know you have several books. I only mentioned one in the email, which is the how to get your kids into college without losing your mind and being in debt, which I the name is just perfect. It's exactly what we want, right? We don't want to lose our minds about it, and we don't want to be paying till we're, after we're dead and gone for college. So how can we get in touch with you, and what are your books that you want people to start with?
Absolutely. So I am a giver. So you can get all of this by going to www.collegereadyplan.com. But if you get overwhelmed, because there's a lot of giving on my website, I'm going to gift you two very important things. One of them, well, for your listeners, my books are on sale right now for 99 cents for your listeners. So I never want money to stand in the way. And so all you have to do is go on to Amazon. And the first book is How to Send Your Student to College Without Losing Your Mind or Your Money.
It's
And my
beautiful.
second bestseller is The College Admissions Plan Simplified. It is truly the foundation, a quick read. You can put it down in between chapters and not have to start over. It is a busy parent's guide to building the foundation. And so those two things are at the minimum I recommend that your listeners do. And then the second thing is, if you are like, Shellee, you need to talk to my kid. Like, they aren't talking to me. I need you to talk to them. I gift your listeners 30 minutes where we hop on a call and we talk about, are they future ready? What does their future look like? And if they need support in figuring that out, we have 7 different ways we can help them. And that is collegereadyplan.info. So the info gets you time on the calendar, plan gets you resources. And so I just want you all to know that I'm here to support you. We also have an international nonprofit our students volunteer. And so there's just so much I could give, Cami. The best place to do is start with the website.
I love this. And your website is in the show notes. It's going to be in the comments of wherever you're watching or listening to this. So make sure that you get on there. I did poke around on her website, and I have to say it is a lot. There's so much goodness there. I love it. I feel like you could spend a lot of time there and just really get some good information, and then reach out to Shellee for sure. Because I know there are a lot of you that have teens, or even early 20s, that are like, what, my kid's just not doing anything. We need to get life started. And so that is a great way to get in touch with Shellee and just see what's going on. So I appreciate you, Shellee, so much. We will have all of your resources available for everyone. I appreciate that you are so generous. And I am looking forward to you sharing with our audience again. Thanks so much for coming.
And it's been my pleasure. Thank you all so much.
You guys, we are going to meet again next week for some more awesomeness. And we have Thanksgiving week coming up, which I have a special episode for you Thanksgiving week. So be prepared to listen to all the goodness. If this is your first time listening to us and you haven't listened to us before and you're resonating with some of the things that we're talking about, can you please leave a comment or a even a review would be amazing in Apple podcast. And if you take a screenshot of that and DM it to me, you will get a special guide on the can I say that word? Foolproof ways to increase level of learning right away. So make sure that you just reach out a little bit. It helps us get it out to more people and get this information because Shellee is valuable and her information is super valuable. So I want to make sure that everybody knows her. All right, you guys, thanks so much again, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.